For all of you wonderful, brilliant, enterprising entrepreneurs, I'm sure you're going to get this. If you're, of course, running a business in India today, your life is about growth for sure, yes, but it's also more importantly about not getting punched in the face by a spreadsheet while trying to achieve that said growth. So let's just think about it. We are living in a country where the GST rules change so often that they might as well be classified as daily horoscopes. We of course have supply chains that break if a truck gets stuck in a monsoon in Bihar. And we have CFOs who are currently one reconciliation error away from a permanent twitch in their left eye. In India, complexity is not some fancy word. It is actually a survival sport and probably an emotion. But NetSuite, yes, the literal heavyweight of mid-market ERP, thinks that this chaos is actually their greatest competitive advantage. They have gone beyond selling you just a cloud dashboard and are now giving you Ask Oracle, which is conversational intelligence, and agentic workflows directly into the bloodline of Indian finance. They are essentially trying to build a brain that doesn't just record your mess, but actually helps you to clean it up. Yes, and they're doing it locally with new data centers in Mumbai and Hyderabad, finally giving Indian founders a reason to stop hugging their office servers for comfort. And of course, joining me today is the man tasked with navigating this agentic shift. I'm very, very happy to bring to you Mr. Amit Saxena, who is the head of NetSuite Asia. Welcome to Front Page, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me here.
Wonderful, wonderful to have you with us on Front Page. So Amit, let's start with the diverse, which is a very polite word for this wonderful little beautiful mess as far as Indian business is concerned. You know, well, just to give you an analogy, founders juggle physical diaries. We've seen that happen. And we've also seen a labyrinth of multi-state GST filings. So the first question, why is this high-speed, high-stress chaos, Amit, actually the perfect habitat for NetSuite? And what is driving this momentum? Is it the startup scaling at light speed, or is it that the legacy family firms finally are realizing that their manual entry systems are ticking time bombs?
Well, good. Well, first and foremost, there is behind this chaos, there is also immense growth, right?
Absolutely.
IMF has just, revised the growth for India at over 7%. We saw the economic activity in January pick up. So there is behind the chaos, there's a lot of opportunity.
Sure.
Now, the growth, which is being driven, and why we feel that this is the perfect storm is what now more and more businesses are wanting is they're wanting a single view of their customer, right? That's the only way in this chaos they can grow. So they don't want to have a view of how their supply chain is doing, as you rightly said, where the truck is stuck,
Yeah.
versus, where is the finances being stuck today because it's high inflation, high interest rates. So they are looking at a single view of everything. And with AI, again, now, and all our data, NetSuite's data, the customer data, finance data, supply chain is all at the same place. So with AI coming in, all this data can be read that much simpler and easier, and we are able to provide the real-time insights to all the small businesses who earlier could not get these kind of insights and were not able to, take advantage of the opportunity which is in front of them.
Wow, so the
Uh,
times are fascinating ahead as far as NetSuite is concerned, Amit. But very quickly, before I actually move on to the fact that, there is this entire thing about the server versus the cloud aspect and that debate, I very quickly had a follow-up on this. You talked about customer synergy. Correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the big OEM manufacturers, let's say from the automotive sector or from the other big sectors, sometimes they tell their vendors to go in for a particular ERP. Does that also fit perfectly well as far as your design is concerned, where the customer is driving this kind of streamlining?
Well, it again comes from we are not looking at necessarily this coming from the OEMs to or the customers designing it. What we are looking at is that are we able to provide insights to the especially to the mid-market
Ah,
sector,
okay.
where they can find out what their markets are, who should be they selling to,
Hmm.
and to take care of their back end to ensure that everything what you just now said, all the filings, the financial reportings,
Right.
and they are able to do all of that with meaningful insights.
Fabulous. Of course, now back to that server versus cloud debate. The Indian CFOs, Amit, were suspicious of the cloud because, well, they couldn't see the box, to be honest. They liked having, like, something like a server which was around under a desk. It just gave them a little more, less separation anxiety. And the question is, now that you're running on local OCI in Mumbai and Hyderabad, what actually changes for the customer, Amit? And is this move about speed and latency, or is it purely just about making the compliance and data residency migraine go away? Because that could be just a logistical aspect.
Well, absolutely. People were wanting to see that server under the desk,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And they were a lot of times concerned about that. Is that I think it's my data is more secure here
Yeah.
when it is with me
Right.
rather than in the cloud, right? Now, you are not operating to all of those. I would say that you are not operating in isolation today. So even if
True.
you have that server under your table, you still need to connect to the internet, right? You will still be interacting with others, which means that you are opening up the exposure to that little box under your table to be attacked.
Yep.
And so hence whether you're doing it in-house or out-house, you need to have immense security. Now, I can very safely say that just our security budgets is far, far, far more than any IT budgets of any of these organizations locally, right? So
Wow.
we definitely can provide a very, very secure environment. Now, as far as this move to Mumbai is concerned, our data centers actually can operate at the same speed from no matter where your data is hosted.
Okay.
So it is more regulatory and compliance related, and also the fact that yes, the data is residing in India. So, for anyone who would want to have the data locally, this is there. But I don't think so it will change the speeds as such.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, that's a very valid point that you made. I believe it's that comfort zone that you need to give to your customers. Finally, it's a change in the mindset, which is what you're driving. And rightly so, because the times definitely require that. Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, Amit, I mean, that's something very special. There is, of course, in the budget as well, there was a huge push as far as that was concerned. So let me just set the context for the viewers first. We are seeing a massive export engine and of course manufacturing clusters exploding in places like Indore, Surat and Coimbatore. And of course these are no longer just small businesses, so don't get me wrong, they are very high volume sophisticated operations. Which brings me to this, Amit, the question. When does a business in a tier 2 city realize that doing fine on tally, for example, has become a trap? Which India native verticals like for example gold jewelry or pharma distribution become easier to win once you solve for their very weirdly specific scale, and weirdly being the operative word.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, gold jewelry is an interesting one, right? So, gold jewelry manufacturers, for example, need to account for the gold dust
Yep.
which is collected in the air conditioning ducts, right?
Right.
So, that has to be accounted for. So, obviously, all these companies are looking for an ERP solution which is verticalized, which basically has these nuances which are built in, right?
Right.
Also, today you might be operating in India, but tomorrow you're looking at markets outside. You also want to be able to have a solution which is multi-currency. You do not want to be doing all sorts of conversions. You could be having different subsidiaries
True.
in different cities within India
Yeah.
or outside, and you want still a fairly simplified solution So when these companies or which in tier 2 and tier 3 cities are now realizing that there is a solution like that available, and of course with the advent of AI, which has actually made the playing field fairly level for SMBs, they are now looking at venturing out. So outside of that tier 2 and tier 3 city, and the traditional smaller systems which you mentioned, which they had been using, is
Yeah.
not able to take them outward.
Well, fascinating that you mentioned that gold dust in the, you know, ventilators and the exhaust systems. Very interesting that you know, NetSuite can even account for those little things, and wow, fascinating. Congratulations on that one, Amit. That genuinely
Yeah.
caught my attention. It's very interesting.
Well, we have been able to build that with the help of our local partners here in India. So
Right.
that's the other thing. We
Yeah, I
have
was going to
partners
come to
in,
that. Yeah,
we,
that's a
yeah.
huge network that you have. NetSuite has a massive developer army in India building on Suite app.ai. Before I, of course, get into the question, I would love for you, Amit, to weigh in on that and just give us maybe some numbers so that people get a context.
Well, it's hard to put a number there. We basically why we have such a big army of partners is because we are giving our suite platform. So while we have this ERP, which is fairly simple to use, very easy to implement. That's the most important thing, is that we want people to be implementing and going live fast. For a small, medium organization,
Sure.
there's no point of doing something which will give them the returns a year later, right? So they want to see immediate results. And sometimes for their industry, they also want the flexibility to be able to build that little nuance, that little gold dust
Yeah,
checkpoint
correct.
themselves.
Yeah.
And we have the suite platform, which is built within the system, where you can actually go and develop what you want. And it is integrated with our application. So that has allowed a lot of partners in every part of India. We've got partners in Kerala, we've got partners in Rajasthan, for example, who are looking at, hospitality, small hotels. What do they want?
Very
We've got
interesting.
partners who are looking at hospitals in tier two cities. What do they want? So we've got all these partners building on to our platform, uh, allowing, those little nuances being delivered to our customers in tier two, tier three cities.
Amit, very quickly, I genuinely want to request you, if you can be kind enough, maybe give us a use case, you know, in terms of what are the Indian partners building that the global office hasn't even thought of as yet. I mean, would you be able to maybe give us a use case? It'll allow us all to kind of absorb it a lot better.
Yes. So, I will just I will take it simply to your to the gold example you gave.
Right.
Just to take your example from there. And
Mm-hmm.
now we have customer who was basic initially looking for that what are the markets which they want to operate in, which are the markets where they will get the maximum bang for their buck, return for their dollar
Sure.
invested, right?
Sure.
So they were able to ask our ERP or our system. They were able to put in some inputs and be able to identify who are the markets they should be working for.
Nice.
They then took it to the next step, and they've said that, okay, within India, who are the suppliers who can supply them what they require? Where is the workforce which they can get? What are some of the automation they can do for their workforces, right? And be able to report correctly to the regulators around. And gold, again, being something where there is a lot of regulatory
Yeah.
requirement around where you acquired it, to be able to show the source of funds, as well as where you are exporting it to. So this is a classic one which needs all of these things to be done. So this is a classic use case. Find out where should I be selling, find out who should I be buying from, find out what my workforce automation should look like, and be able to report as per the regulatory requirements. I think this is a very unique uh, case I see in India, which I have not seen in other parts of in the other parts of the world.
Fascinating, Amit. To be honest, that's an entire life cycle that you just you know, shared with us, and it was quite visual as well, just to kind of connect the dots. It's quite exciting, and of course, as always, we see these amazing nuanced developments only in India because, well, जुगाड़ हमसे बेहतर किसको आता है, Amit, to be honest. And then of course,
Absolutely agree with you there.
then of course, I of course have to share with everyone who's watching. Amit has a very fascinating background. He has, of course, he started in hotel management, and most tech leaders, you know, they tend to kind of grow up in more like a office environment, a cubicle, etc. But Amit, on the other hand, has grown up and gained all of his experience dealing with actual guests. Now, having said that, here is the question to you, Amit. What did hospitality teach you about, let's say, SaaS leadership that the pure tech crowd completely misses? And for the founders who are watching, what is that single biggest mistake companies make when they try to AI enable their finance team a little too early?
Okay, well, two parts to your question actually, and they could be related. So, firstly, what that interaction with the guests and has taught me, which
Yep,
probably tech leaders miss out, right?
yep.
I do not think technology. I look at a problem and I look at ways to solve them, right? So so for me that's the most important thing. I want my so when I'm looking at and similar to your second question, what should be what what should be automating or what AI
Right,
should be putting in the finance
right.
department. I always look at what is it that you are trying to do core. Are you trying to solve boredom in your employees because they are so bored doing the same data entry day in day out, right? Are they is that something which what they are looking at? So what is your objective? What do you want
Right.
to do? And once you have figured that out, then you can look at what technology to bring in. And my single advice to the mid market is going to be do not look at AI for the sake of AI.
Okay.
All organizations which have looked at AI for AI have invested a lot of money and not gotten the returns. You need to look at AI which is embedded in your basic workflow. If you're using an ERP, AI should be embedded there,
Sure.
and that should be helping with your day to day operations. So stop thinking technology, start thinking business results, and you will be able to decide the right AI strategy for your organization.
Wonderful. Amit, it has been a true pleasure having you with us here on Front Page. Fabulous insights. And I don't think I'll be wrong to say this. NetSuite definitely moving ahead looks like gold dust. No pun intended.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.
Wonderful speaking with you. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Amit Suksena, who is the head of NetSuite, and he is making sure that they are going at a juggernaut speed in terms of implementation in the mid-market segment. His advice is very clear. Make sure that the objective is clear in terms of why is it that you're wanting to implement a system in place, because automation is a superpower, but automating something which is, well, maybe a mess just gives you a faster mess. So Amit is saying, clean up the mess first, understand it, and then go for it, because NetSuite will then for sure deliver the solution you're looking at. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Front Page. Like, share, subscribe.